What better place to start our voyage than in India's greatest city, Mumbai? We'll talk about that name later, but we learn from those unsung sources of wisdom in urban geography, the taxi drivers, that the name change is not cast in stone. They claim that everybody they know still uses Bombay. The only people who use Mumbai are the tourists, which is forgivable, and the politicians. And there are elections coming up soon. After 20 hours in transit, including 5 security checks, we decide to enjoy our hotel room for a while to recover from the jet lag. Dead tired when you should be awake and unable to sleep at night. Let's surf channels on the television.
Clashes began when the police stopped the procession at Civil Lines area.
Good evening, I'm Nidhi Razdan. Our top story, 2 days after 3 Pakistani terrorists...
From the dozens of channels with continuous news coverage, in at least 5 languages, including Russian, it is really not surprising that the 26/11 terrorist attack, precisely a year ago, is still a national obsession. We start our visit with a walkabout. We note that we are 2 blocks from the Taj Hotel, so let's follow the route of the terrorists to see if there's any evidence of their attack last year. They came from the sea in a hijacked fishing boat and landed in the Kolaba fishing village just 2 blocks from us in the other direction. A few of them passed down a side street and shot up the Leopold restaurant, killing several patrons. The bullet holes are still there, seemingly defiant wall hangings. The Oberoi Hotel is not yet opened. Apparently they are doing a major interior redesign and renovation. The Grand Taj Hotel has reopened, but clearly there is still a lot of damage to be repaired. There is an air travel style security check, complete with hand baggage x-ray to enter the hotel. But otherwise, life goes on as usual as in any normal hotel. It's a little too warm to enjoy the outdoor garden cafe. But the harbor bar is air conditioned and welcoming. Shall we try some of that Bombay Sapphire gin? Time to carry on over to the Gateway of India. Erected to commemorate the landing in India of their Imperial Majesties King George V and Queen Mary in 1911, today it serves as a reminder of 2 centuries of British rule in India. It must have been a splendid sight in 1911, but today the monument looks a little forlorn and, frankly, somewhat irrelevant. But it's no less relevant than this recently added sculpture of Chhatrapati Sri Shivaji, conqueror of the Mughal Empire far in the north. In a very short time his empire crumbled, thus creating the vacuum into which the British were sucked. Where do you shop? Bhagat Singh Road. I found it to be a really friendly street with very welcoming shopkeepers and good prices. There are always reminders that we are in Hindu India. Hindus do not put down dogs no matter how stray they are. They're called road dogs. They lie around just about everywhere. An oasis in the middle of this massive urban conglomerate, there is another reminder of the British Raj. This museum was also built for a visit of British royalty, the Prince of Wales in 1904, and it was named after him. I have to say that this museum is worth several hours of one time, and I'm glad we walked here, thus not having the pressure of a tour taxi waiting outside. The museum, of course, has been renamed, after the Maharaja Shivaji, of course. And so, back to our refuge and haven. Time to recover. And yes, another chance to try to get a hold on this marvelous selection of over 100 television channels. We continue our visit to Bombay by reaching a little further afield with a taxi tour. The first stop is the almost compulsory visit to the downtown laundry. Most hotel laundry is washed here. The whites are white and the colors brilliant. I do not know how they do it in those muddy tanks. But a quick look the other way and you see a school class in progress. I would think that these kids are the future of India. I bet that we'll see this little fellow far from this slum not too long in the future. This whole taxi tour is very much in the downtown of this gigantic city. And there is no shortage of splendid high-rise towers. Around the back bay and the Chowpatty beach, one gets a vista of many eras of building in Bombay. Like most cities, the new is overrunning the old. Is the secular obliterating the religious? Buried in the high-rise clutter is this oasis and reminder of a more glorious religious past, a Jain temple. Jainism is a subset of Hinduism, known to us outsiders for its peculiar ritual of nude priests. It is a reminder, though, of India's very high tolerance of various religious practices and sects. Our driver left for lunch, giving us a free hour. Thanks. How best to use the giant flat surface of the top of a water reservoir, a hanging garden. This would be a lovely place to hang about to read and contemplate nature, if you lived within walking distance, but it's not worth more than a 10-minute stop on a tour. From the park, there is a grand vista of the Chowpatty beach from the west and its surrounding megalopolis. Right downtown is a Tower of Silence, representing the interesting burial customs of the Zoroaster religion of the Farsi people. They immigrated from Persia circa 900 to 1000 AD and have done very well religiously and economically. Farsis dispose of the bodies of their dead by exposing them to carrion birds. The practice is not without its opponents, especially amongst the Farsis themselves. The highlight of our day taxi tour is a visit to the home of Mahatma Gandhi, where he planned and plotted the Quit India campaign. This museum is a national shrine and does not have admission fees. There is much to see, from his work and sleeping place to his collection of books and documents. For example, there is a chilling letter in which he pleaded to Adolf Hitler to do what he can to avoid war. The letter went unanswered. A letter that was answered was one he wrote to Franklin Delano Roosevelt about the British hold on India. There are a couple of dozen dioramas with Barbie-sized dolls of the major episodes in the saga of Gandhi's life. This was a very moving experience. On the way home, we passed the Grand Victoria Railway Station, renamed, of course, to the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus. And so, for a drink in our favorite spot at the Taj Hotel. Was this day of touring successful? It is on to Bollywood tomorrow.